Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom and I make videos that help you awaken your soul and manifest your happiest life. In this video, we're going to be talking about why self-love changes your entire life. I'm going to tell you what self-love is, why it's so powerful in transforming yourself inside and out, and practical steps on how to cultivate self-love on a daily basis so that you can experience its life-changing power and effects in your own life. But before we get into this video, I want to give you a free gift that I call the Reality Shift Cheat Sheet. This is a powerful resource guide. If you're a light worker, an awakening soul, then this resource guide will give you all the secrets you need to shift into your desired reality. So if you'd like that free resource guide, the Reality Shift Cheat Sheet, just click the link in the description below. And also, don't forget to check out my one-on-one coaching, also at the links in the description. Okay, so what is self-love? Well, to be honest with you, I'm having one of those days where self-love is particularly important. We all have those days when we wake up and we're not exactly aligned. I was going to say I can't really put my finger on why that's the case, but I absolutely can. I didn't sleep that well because I stayed up a bit later doing work, and I received some news that kind of shook me and threw me off and was distracting me all through yesterday, kind of putting me in a frazzled state of mind. So basically I'm needing a lot of self-love too, and I'm always cultivating this. And so what exactly is it? Well, really, it's an emotional connection to yourself that brings forth love within you. Just like you feel love for a family member, a loved one, your intimate partner, and you can kind of be connected to them or think about them, and immediately as you connect into their character, their essence, that love blossoms, and you're just so appreciative of that person in your life and their existence. Well, it's all the same stuff, but now directed to your own existence, your own self. It's cultivating a relationship with all of that brings forth an appreciation of yourself and love. And it's not always easy to cultivate self-love. And it certainly wasn't for me many years ago. And I know many of us begin our journeys with not much self-love or worth or appreciation for ourselves at all. And we're kind of starting from zero or starting from very low. But I promise you that bit by bit, you can love yourself just like any habit. And as you follow the practical steps I'm going to give you, eventually this feeling of being devoid of self-love or not really being able to conjure up a strong feeling of appreciation for yourself and love yourself, all of this will be like a distant memory, and you will absolutely be able to feel such powerful love for yourself in a really healthy way, in a balanced way. The complete opposite of narcissism here. This is an absolute appreciation for the divine expression you are, and then taking that beautiful love you feel within and channeling it to the world, helping uplift others. We're talking about that kind of pure self-love. You will be able to love yourself such that on some days, as you really particularly connect with yourself in a profound way, you will just cry tears of love for yourself. And you'll wonder, how could I have ever been so cruel to myself? How could I have ever not seen directly into the divine core of who I am and realize the infinite beauty and goodness that was always there? Again, it kind of sounds a bit narcissistic, I'm aware, but not if you're a more empathic, energetically sensitive soul like myself, and no doubt you if you're watching this. It's the opposite of a narcissistic ego, which can actually probably use with taking themselves off a pedestal and kind of focusing more on others. But if you're on the opposite spectrum, then your whole life you're feeling like a people pleaser, like you're not good enough, like you're inferior to others, you're always comparing, and you just don't feel worthy within yourself. You don't feel that foundation of love. Well, if you're that kind of person, then actually loving yourself is actually balancing you up and bringing you up to equal ground, to unity and connection and alignment within yourself, so that you're actually a very powerful soul that's in harmony with how the universe sees you and how the universe is, which is an expression of love. So I assure you, you're not going to become all narcissistic and everything like that. It's actually going to make you more selfless, because when you fill up your own cup with love, then you become more overflowing with that love, And then naturally, as the beautiful, good human being and soul you are, who wants to help others, that's aware of the suffering in the world, well, then you'll channel it in a positive way. So I want to assure you that the more love you give yourself, the more selfless you become. It's a paradox. And it kind of took me many years to be comfortable to be able to say that, because I'm very cautious about treating people in a good way and making sure that I'm a good person. I don't want to be a narcissist. I don't want to be power hungry. I don't want to be ego tripping myself out, becoming an egomaniac. So I had to really find that discernment, but I promise you that's the case with self-love. But why is it the case that self-love is this powerful? Why will it change your entire life? Well, now we have to bring in some spiritual truths and some principles about manifestation. And really, if we zoom out for a second to the big picture, we are all one with the divine source, also known as God. We are all sparks of that source, and many mystics and spiritually enlightened sages for thousands of years have been pointing us to this truth and getting us to turn within and recognize our unity with this higher source in actual experience, not mere belief. And in that, to experience what our true essence is when we become merged back in with this wholeness or with this source. And in my own experiences and glimpses and connections to this divine source within myself, within you, I've come to learn that it is pure love. It's got many other facets as well, like it's infinitely powerful, it's infinitely beautiful, and it's infinitely good. But at the core of this divine source, at least for me, is love. It seems to be the absolute fabric and essence of this source. And as we are all sparks of this source, it follows by logical reasoning almost that at the core of you is love. At the core of you is that goodness, is that beauty. But most importantly, that love. And so when you're loving yourself, you're basically becoming yourself, your true self. You're aligning with that which you've always been. Now, we may be all one with this source, but we all are individuated souls and expressions and human beings in our lives. And as human beings, we kind of come into this land of duality, and we start functioning within a society, and we start being conditioned with various beliefs and ideas. And in that context, we lose sight of this inner state of love and perfection that's within us at that spiritual level and dimension. And we kind of get a little bit bogged down in this human relationship with life. And in that, we kind of see all these imperfections, and we measure ourselves up against others, and we kind of get this picture that actually, no way am I perfect. I can't be perfect. Look how imperfect I am for this reason. Look how ugly I am in this aspect. Look how unworthy of love I am in this other part of my life. And we kind of find all these reasons why we're imperfect and why we're not lovable. And so really, self-love is about correcting all of that, is about healing all of that inflammation of the ego. And as we peel away that inflammation and soothe it all, we actually open up that channel towards that spiritual dimension within us that starts radiating love into us. So we both give ourselves love, and then the divine source starts pouring love into us simultaneously. It's like a journey of a relationship with the source and ourselves becoming one. But what is really key to realize is that the divine source sees you. It is you, but it sees you. It kind of looks over you, so to speak. It kind of sounds like a religious thing now, but what I mean is that the awareness, the consciousness that you are, that's all pervasive and expressing itself as all manifest forms and beings in this universe. That source is unconditional love itself, and therefore it unconditionally loves you and accepts you and approves of you exactly as you are, exactly as you are. That's why it's so remarkable when you connect to this divine source, because you feel that love, and it's absolutely unshakable and has no condition. So you could come to that source exactly as you are, bearing all your faults and flaws that you perceive within you, and it without hesitation will pick you up into its arms and say, I love you, I approve of you. And that's what I want you to realize about yourself, is that no matter who you are, you are that worthy of love. You are worthy of love. Now, let's get into the manifestation stuff. Now that we know we're worthy of love and the profound reasons behind it, we can start letting go of these ideas that because we're not perfect at a human level, we somehow don't deserve to love ourselves. It's just not true. Of course, we can improve ourselves, and that's what self-love does. For example, we may have habits we're not that proud of. We may be treating people in the past that, isn't representative of who we authentically want to be, our best self. And self-love actually cultivates a relationship with ourselves that's really amazing, such that all of that gets transformed anyway. We start doing more positive habits. We start treating others in better ways, etc. All facets of our life improve through self-love. So it's not about not improving yourself, but it's about saying that no matter how I've been, who I am right now, I'm still worthy of love. And that's going to start transforming your life. Now, it's time to get in with the manifestation stuff. And so your inner reality, how you feel about yourself, what you believe about yourself, will be mirrored into your external life. That's Manifestation 101. There's a million amazing teachers out there that have been teaching the principles of manifestation. We could also call it the law of attraction, or the law of expanding down timelines that resonate with your frequency. But basically what's happening within you will be manifested and mirrored and reflected into your external life. And so if at the core of yourself, you are cultivating self-love, and self-love is at the center of everything else, the habits you form, how you treat others, what kind of money you think you're worth having, what kind of relationship you think you're worth being in, how you carry yourself, how you feel, just every action, every deed, every thought starts emanating from a core of self-love, you're going to start manifesting a very powerful life. In fact, you're going to start feeling more and more worthy unconditionally, more and more loving of yourself unconditionally, that you're going to start only accepting the best things for yourself and treating others in the best possible way. And that's why it's so powerful to love yourself. And that's why it changes everything. All of a sudden you find your purpose, you find your soulmate, you find abundance, you find all these amazing friendships and opportunities and adventures attract in, and you're in better moods. Even though I said at the start of this video I wasn't in the greatest mood, well, actually loving myself through that has raised me up. And accepting myself as I am has uplifted my spirit. And that's the case for you when you start cultivating self-love. So really your entire life, your dream life, manifests out of the love that you have for yourself, you could say. The worth you have for yourself. And so that's the power. So I hope you can see that love is not some kind of sappy thing, not some little thing that's kind of like a bit like, oh, I love myself, blah. But actually, no, you're cultivating a divine connection with yourself, an unshakable love that's rooted in the highest truths about who you really are, because you're passionate about your life, because you realize that love is the fabric of all things, and you want it to be reflected in your external reality in the most pleasing, beautiful, benevolent ways possible, so that you can really savor and experience your most amazing life in all ways that resonate for you and the soul you are and the theme you came here to celebrate. That's the power of self-love. Okay, so now that we've kind of explored what self-love is and why it's so powerful from a spiritual and manifestation perspective, I now want to get into the practical, to give you something that you can implement in your daily life very simply and powerfully. I'm going to give you really 4 key exercises that I practice every day that are just incredible over time, because they're really little things, but just like that exponential curve, that compound graph, it's really the little acts of self-love over time that build you up. So really, all of these actions are going to be about cultivating attention for yourself, presence for yourself, acts of kindness and love for yourself, and emotional acceptance of yourself. All of these habits and actions are designed to do all of that. And if you're confused by what it means to be cultivating self-love, just think about how you want to treat your soulmate. And imagine that you're your own soulmate and start treating yourself like that as a simple rule. Here are the 4 key practical steps for cultivating self-love. Number 1 is mirror work. And I do this just for 1 minute every day. I just wanted to start with 1 minute. And that's something that's actually sustainable for me. Would you believe? Just 1 powerful minute of mirror work. And what you do, and this works best in the morning, in my opinion, but you just look at yourself, gaze at yourself in the eyes, in front of the mirror, and start telling yourself all the things that you wish you heard more when you were young, as a child, or in your earlier life. Things like, you matter, you're good enough, I love you, you're special, you deserve to shine. These kind of things, and they'll spontaneously come to you, but there'll be things that you wished you heard more from other people. Well, now you're going to give yourself those gifts as compliments to yourself. And this is going to be reprogramming your subconscious mind and developing that frequency of self-love within you every single day. You look within your eyes and you start telling yourself these compliments to yourself, doing this mirror work. And do it sincerely, connect with yourself. This is not about ticking off a box at all. This is about loving yourself because you actually see the importance of this, and there's integrity and sincerity there. This goes for all the exercises, by the way. And just start with 1 minute and build it from there if you feel like you want to. Currently, I'm just doing 1 minute because I've got a whole bunch of other things I'm doing in my morning routine, and that's just something that's working for me. So that's exercise number 1. And so the practical exercise number 2 are daily stories. Pick a few core stories or sentences that you're going to be telling yourself around the themes of self-love and worth. And then as you go about your day, you just repeat these sentences and stories to yourself. So for example, I have been going around through my day, and whenever I remember, I've been saying a few key affirmations, sentences, and stories about myself. And just throughout the day, just repeating them to myself and feeling how that feels when I acknowledge that story, that truth coming to life within me. So I say, I am the light I am, which means to me, I am a spark of the divine source. And therefore that implies I am worthy, I am lovable intrinsically. So I say, I am the light I am. I also say, mine are quite spiritual. You don't have to make them this intense. But I also say, I am worthy of God's infinite love. I am worthy of God's infinite love. And to me, that again implies not only that bursting self-love, radiating out for the well-being of all, but also worthiness of all the facets of love, which is a beautiful connection to life, abundance in all ways, my dream career, my dream job, my dream relationships and friendships. All of that is implied by being worthy of God's infinite love, that infinite, perfect sense of connection to life and expression of life. So I say that to myself, I am worthy of God's infinite love. And another example I've been saying to myself is just, I love you. I'm so proud of you. You're doing an amazing job in life. You're worthy of success. Just kind of, it's almost like you're becoming your own cheerleader in a way. I love how it seems kind of lighthearted and frivolous to do this kind of stuff and unimportant. But it really gets in. It starts reprogramming and shifting you powerfully. But you get the idea. You're telling yourself new stories and you're relating to yourself in a new way through these compliments, these affirmations, these daily stories you're telling yourself that are rooted in really powerful ideas about love that resonate with you. You can't go wrong with this, but keep it in the present tense and try and become connected to it as you say it. You're not just saying it as little human me. You're actually raising up to your higher self and connecting to that divine part within you. And it's like the whole universe, the whole divine source is saying, I love you to itself. The third practical tip for cultivating self-love is to be with yourself when you're experiencing strong negative emotions and off days. Say you've been triggered by someone at work or something more serious, like you're going through a breakup, and whatever's happened to you has triggered you and affected you in an emotional way. And I know we have responsibilities in our everyday life, so you want to get those done and not shirk your work or anything like that. But I find it's really important to take time out of your day whenever you can, no matter how short that sliver of time is, whether that's 10 minutes or ideally is much longer than that if you need. But take yourself off into isolation and process that trigger, process that emotion. Because through your sheer presence, again, it's that presence, your presence is divine. So you're not just being with an emotion. You as the soul are giving yourself an energetic hug by shining the radiant light and love of your intrinsic presence, of the consciousness you are, onto that part of you that's emotionally affected by something and wounded by something in that moment. And so what that means is that you just be with yourself, take that time and fully go into that emotion and just place your awareness on it and just be with it, knowing that your beingness is love itself and love heals everything. And really this will be teaching those parts of you, that inner child, that shadow self, the ego, all these parts of you, that you're going to be there for them and accept them as they are at all times. And that cultivates incredible self-love and alignment over time. So really, it's as simple as just sitting with that emotion, feeling into that emotion, and accepting whatever that part of you wants to communicate to you. You accept yourself and be there for yourself. And sure enough, those aspects then suit down, the emotional wave purges out of you, that frequency returns back to the source, and you're left not only with self-love, but greater alignment and a higher frequency and vibration than ever before. So you're constantly being there for yourself, accepting all aspects of yourself, how you feel, not trying to hide or run from it or twist yourself into thinking a different way and kind of bypassing it, but actually going into it and saying, I love you, it's okay, I'm here for you. Just like a mother hugging its child or a father hugging its child, it's exactly like that. The child soothes, the child feels loved. That's exactly what you're doing with yourself and your own inner child and ego and shadow self as they arise within you after being triggered through your everyday life circumstances. So cultivate that loving relationship with yourself by being with yourself fully, by unconditionally accepting yourself, what that part of you is saying when it's emotionally triggered, and from the light of awareness, allowing that expression to happen, to be liberated out of you, and for all those parts within you to feel loved and cared for, and like you're always going to be there for them. It's very, very powerful. And the fourth and final practical step for self-love is to do acts of love, actual actions of love. Now, these can be acts in a myriad of ways that resonate for you, and you kind of have to just practice, maybe do some journaling, just think about it. It's quite obvious when you think about it, but just do some contemplation to work out what acts constitute self-love for you. But there'll be those acts that make you feel good, that raise your integrity with yourself, raise your self-worth, raise your self-respect, and just make you enjoy life. So these can be acts of self-care, maybe like running a bath and listening to music, or maybe it's an act of a hobby, maybe you enjoy playing a sport or painting or something like that. Well, then you can do those actions of hobbies. That cultivates self-love. Or it can be acts of setting boundaries in your relationship. So if you feel you're being walked over by a colleague or perhaps mistreated in a subtle way by your partner that doesn't resonate with you, have a conversation and set that boundary and realize that that's an act of self-love. Now, I'm going to make more in-depth videos on how to set these boundaries because it can be tricky, but that's also an act of self-love, is to stand up for yourself, respect yourself, and just assert in a loving way a healthy boundary to look after yourself, to protect yourself, to show that you care and love for yourself. And another example could be acts of self-love in the form of positive habits, such as eating healthier foods that resonate with you, high vibrational foods, or working out and exercising in a certain way that resonates for you, or getting up at a certain time, or reading a certain book, or listening to a certain talk. These are all acts of self-love because they raise you up, they make you feel connected to life and yourself in a positive way. So really, any of these actions that are just positive in essence, that make you feel like you're loving yourself, respecting yourself, treating yourself with worth, all of this really counts. So as I said, do some journaling, think about what works for you, and then start implementing these actions on a daily basis. And lastly, I'm going to throw in there as well, an act of self-love is simply to say, I love you. This kind of relates to some of the earlier steps like the mirror work and the stories, but really the simplest act of all of self-love is just to say, I love you to yourself. As you're going about your day, hand on your heart, hand on your stomach, wherever you want, I love you. I love you. Then go about your day. That's a very simple but powerful one as well, and what I would consider an act of self-love. So anyway, that's the essence of this video on self-love and why it will change your entire life. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like it, please leave me a comment, I love hearing from you, and subscribe to my channel. Check out the Reality Shift cheat sheet for free if you want to get that, and also check out my one-on-one coaching. I'm opening up slots for that, so you want to check that out, also at the links in the description. And overall, just stay tuned for more videos on spirituality and manifestation that's going to help you awaken your soul and manifest your dream life. Thank you.